the ambassador to the EU in Burkina Faso has been summoned by the foreign minister of Burkina Faso. And the main reason of him being summoned is because of the discussions, the parliamentary discussions that just took place in the European Union. You see, the European Union Parliament is accusing Burkina Faso of atrocities, violation of human rights. So let's just have a look at these discussions, the discussions that led the ambassador to be summoned. Then when we come back, we can analyze the video further. Let's have a look at this.
Talking about Burkina Faso, about countries drifting away, destabilized by jihadists linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic countries, who are displacing people, emptying villages, and attacking all communities. Moreover, the brutal terror in the country is carried out by 8 stateless countries. Under the guise of fighting jihad, freedom is being destroyed. Political parties, social organizations, and journalists are intimidated. Activists are restricted, and critics are silenced in the name of security. But when we talk about Burkina Faso, we must not turn a blind eye to what is happening in the countries of the European Union. In my country, Poland, we are witnessing mechanisms that should raise alarms everywhere. Pressure.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioner, dear colleagues. A free civil society is essential for any state. It acts as a safeguard against abuses of power and gives citizens a voice. But in Burkina Faso, this voice is being methodically silenced. In just a few months, more than 100 civil society organizations have been dissolved and hundreds of associations suspended. Journalists and media outlets are being silenced, and students have been arrested for criticizing the regime. This repression is taking place amid significant media indifference. We must send a clear message of support to all those who, despite the threats, continue to defend fundamental freedoms and democratic principles. The fight against terrorism should never be used as a pretext to silence critical voices. No lasting security can ever be built on a foundation of fear and repression. A Europe that gives up its principles does not become stronger, it simply becomes less European. It does not need to choose between a philosophy. Thank you. The next.
Commissioner, colleagues, frankly, I have taken the floor on this very debate on Burkina Faso, namely the continued crackdown on civic space and fundamental freedoms in Burkina Faso, not only because of our negotiations in the Development Committee and in other areas of international partnerships, but in particular because in my home country, in Austria, we have an extremely active, engaged Austrian Burkina Faso society which kept ties with the population, with the citizens of Burkina Faso, even during these troubled times since 2022, and also during these even more troubled times since the beginning of 2026, all over the world, where we see that the regime is oppressing the own people instead of serving the own people, we have to also address.
So according to the European Union Parliament, they are accusing Burkina Faso of the following things. Number one, that Burkina Faso is not doing much to combat the security, the insurgency within the Sahel region and within Burkina Faso as a country. That they are not doing so much. That the government is not well equipped to curb the terrorist organizations that are happening in Burkina Faso. The European Union Parliament is also accusing Burkina Faso of violation of the human rights. Also, they are being accused of banning political parties in Burkina Faso, which is against the human rights acts. They are also accusing Burkina Faso of even banning foreign media companies from reporting in Burkina Faso. So those are some of the things that the European Union, they're accusing President Traoré of. In fact, they are saying that, you see, when Traoré assumed power in 2022 through a coup, there were French military in Burkina Faso. And when I talk about French specifically, actually, it is the main reason why President Traoré has summoned the EU ambassador, okay? Because it is through the utterance of the French representative in the European Union that the Burkina Faso's government has forced to recall and to summon the EU representative in Burkina Faso. So, you see, in 2022, when President Traoré assumed power, there were presence of French military in Burkina Faso. There are also presence of the United States military in Burkina Faso. So according to the EU Parliament, they are saying that during their reign, during their regime in Burkina Faso, there are no security issues as compared to now. Can you even believe that? So in one way or another, they are saying during their time, there was so much security in Burkina Faso to the extent the terrorist organizations, they are not getting a dwelling ground in Burkina Faso. So one way or another, they are saying that the Burkinabes, the Burkinabes, their soldiers, they are not doing well when it comes to combating terrorist organizations. That is according to the EU Parliament. That's what they are saying. Also, they are saying that democracy in one way means that a country must have political parties. Because I think it was late last year, no, I think it's this year, when President Traoré banned all political parties, because according to President Traoré, political parties were a hindrance block towards development. So the European Union Parliament is saying, when President Traoré is banning political parties, it is a violation of Human Rights Act. So, according to them, political parties must be active. Okay, civil society parties must be active in Burkina Faso. Also, President Traoré, of course, he banned civil society groups. Actually, not banned. He just the laws. There were reforms in the laws where these civil society groups had to abide to the new laws in relations to their operations in Burkina Faso. So the African Union, or rather the European Union Parliament, is saying, no, this is not proper. Okay? This is not proper. So the civil society groups, all of them, they must be operating in Burkina Faso. So they are accusing Burkina Faso of violation of human rights. They are also accusing Burkina Faso of banning the presence of foreign media companies reporting within Burkina Faso. So President Traoré banned the French media company who are reporting in Burkina Faso due to the fact that the French media companies, they were misreporting. They are not reporting what exactly is on the ground. So that is why actually the foreign minister in Burkina Faso summoned the European ambassador to explain indeed. In fact, that is a show of force within Burkina Faso, because President Traoré is trying to tell them, look, you are accusing us of things that we are not doing. Okay? You are not on the ground. We are on the ground. Traoré himself, he is being praised by 98% of the Burkinabe's population. Just go to Burkina Faso and see what is happening. Massive road constructions, infrastructure construction, talk about education reforms, talk about technology and innovation space being reformed. So Traoré himself is a second messiah in Burkina Faso. He is a second messiah. That is why he's facing these issues within the Sahel region. So that being said, guys, if it's your first time here, kindly show me some love by subscribing to this channel as we take this channel to another level. See you next time. Bye bye for now.